Once upon a time, in a village in Africa nestled among rolling hills and lush greenery, lived a beautiful lady named Nala. Her skin, as dark as the rich soil of the land, bore the warmth of the sun, and her eyes sparkled like the stars above. Nala's laughter was like music to the ears of her family and neighbours, echoing through the village with the joy of 1,000 melodies. But before Nala's birth, her mother endured a harrowing ordeal. The day of Nala's arrival was marked by agonizing pain and distress as her mother struggled to bring her into the world. The villagers gathered around, their hearts heavy with fear and uncertainty, as they watched the brave woman fight for her life and that of her unborn child. Hours stretched into eternity as Nala's mother battled against the forces of nature, her cries echoing through the night like a haunting melody. It seemed as though all hope was lost, as the darkness threatened to consume them all, but just when it seemed that the light would be extinguished forever, a miracle occurred. With a final, desperate push, Nala's mother brought her into the world, her cries piercing the silence like a beacon of hope in the darkness. The villagers wept tears of joy as they beheld the tiny, fragile life that had been brought forth from the depths of despair. Nala's mother had defied death itself, emerging victorious in her struggle to bring a new life into the world. From that day forth, Nala was cherished as a precious gift from the heavens above, a symbol of resilience and strength in the face of adversity. Her mother's sacrifice and bravery were honoured by all who knew her, their love and gratitude shining like a beacon in the darkness of the night. But their peaceful existence was shattered one fateful day when the tranquility of the village was disrupted by the thunderous sound of hooves and the chilling cries of men. European slave traders descended upon the village like a plague of locusts, their faces twisted with greed and malice as they tore families apart and dragged innocent souls away from their homes. Chaos erupted as the villagers scrambled to defend their loved ones, but the invaders were relentless in their pursuit of human cargo. Nala's heart pounded in her chest as she watched in horror as her family was torn asunder before her very eyes. She cried out in anguish as she was torn from the embrace of her mother, her world collapsing around her like a house of cards. Bound in chains and surrounded by armed guards, Nala was dragged away from everything she had ever known, her cries drowned out by the cacophony of despair that surrounded her. The village disappeared into the distance behind her, its once vibrant streets reduced to smouldering ruins by the cruelty of men. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks turned into months, Nala's spirit never wavered in the face of adversity. She clung to the memories of her family and the village she had left behind, drawing strength from the love that had once surrounded her. And though the road ahead was fraught with danger and uncertainty, Nala vowed to never lose hope, for she knew that even in the darkest of times, the light of love would always guide her way. The journey across the vast expanse of the ocean was a harrowing ordeal, as Nala and her fellow captives were crammed into the suffocating darkness below deck, like sardines in a tin can. The air was thick with the stench of sweat and fear, and the sound of wailing echoed through the cramped quarters like a mournful dirge. Nala clung to the railing of the ship, her eyes fixed on the distant horizon as she struggled to hold back the tears that threatened to spill from her eyes. She longed for the warmth of the sun on her skin and the gentle touch of the breeze against her face, but all she felt was the suffocating weight of despair pressing down upon her like a heavy stone. Days blurred into nights as the ship rocked back and forth on the waves, its wooden hull groaning with the strain of the journey. Nala and her fellow captives endured sickness and starvation, their bodies weakened by the harsh conditions on board. Many succumbed to illness and died, their bodies tossed overboard without so much as a prayer to mark their passing. But amidst the despair and suffering, there were moments of fleeting beauty that pierced the darkness like a ray of sunlight, breaking through the clouds. Nala would steal away to the deck in the dead of night, her eyes drawn to the twinkling stars above like a moth to a flame. In those moments of quiet reflection, she would close her eyes and imagine herself back in the village she had once called home, dancing beneath the moonlight with her family and friends by her side. As the days stretched into weeks and the weeks into months, Nala's spirit remained unbroken by the cruelty of her captors. She drew strength from the bonds of friendship she shared with her fellow slaves, finding solace in their shared struggles and shared dreams of freedom. Together, they clung to the hope that one day they would escape the chains that bound them and return to the land of their birth. When the ship finally reached its destination, Nala and the other captives were sold as slaves to a cruel plantation owner. Life on the plantation was a living nightmare, as Nala and her fellow slaves were subjected to back-breaking labor and brutal punishment at the hands of their masters. From dawn until dusk, Nala toiled in the fields under the scorching sun, her body aching with exhaustion and pain. She worked until her hands were raw and bleeding, her breath coming in ragged gasps as she struggled to keep pace with the relentless demands of her overseers. But amidst the cruelty and oppression, there was one ray of light in Nala's life, Eliza, the plantation owner's daughter. Despite the stark differences in their backgrounds, Eliza treated Nala with kindness and compassion, bringing her food, water, and sometimes even clothing. Nala was grateful for Eliza's friendship, a small glimmer of humanity in a world filled with darkness. Despite the hardships she faced, Nala refused to be broken by the cruelty of her captors. She drew strength from the bonds of friendship she shared with her fellow slaves, finding courage in their shared struggles and shared dreams of freedom. Together, they supported each other through the long days and sleepless nights, their spirits unbroken by the harsh realities of their existence. Despite the hardships she faced, Nala refused to be defined by the cruelty of her captors. She refused to lose hope in the face of adversity, drawing strength from the memories of her family and the village she had left behind. She knew that she was more than just a slave, more than just a pawn in someone else's game. She was Nala, daughter of the village, a warrior of the heart. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks turned into months, Nala's spirit grew stronger with each passing day. She refused to be silenced by the chains that bound her, raising her voice in defiance against the injustice of her captivity. She spoke out against the cruelty of her captors, rallying her fellow slaves to stand together in solidarity against their oppressors. Nala's friendship with Eliza continued to blossom, as the two young women formed a deep bond that transcended the boundaries of race and class. They laughed and talked, sharing stories of their lives and dreams for the future. Nala cherished these moments of respite from the cruelty of plantation life, finding solace in the company of her kind-hearted friend. Together, Nala and Eliza defied the expectations of society, forging a friendship that transcended the boundaries of race and class. They refused to be defined by the color of their skin, choosing instead to embrace their shared humanity with pride and dignity. And though the road ahead was long and fraught with danger, Nala was determined to fight for the freedom she so desperately longed for. As the years passed, Nala's beauty shone brighter than ever, like a beacon of hope in the darkness of plantation life. Her dark skin glowed with a special kind of strength and resilience, a testament to her indomitable spirit. But sadly, many people failed to see the beauty in Nala because they were blinded by their own prejudice and ignorance. However, Eliza saw Nala's beauty both inside and out. She admired Nala's strength and courage in the face of adversity, and she refused to let the color of her skin define her worth. Together, Nala and Eliza defied the expectations of society, forging a friendship that transcended the boundaries of race and class. Despite the cruelty and injustice that surrounded her, Nala remained determined to fight for a better future. She refused to be defined by the color of her skin, choosing instead to embrace her identity with pride and dignity. And though the road ahead was fraught with uncertainty, Nala faced the challenges head-on, confident in her ability to overcome any obstacle that stood in her way. One day, a handsome prince visited the plantation where Nala worked. His name was Prince Jafari, and he had a kind heart and gentle demeanor. From the moment he laid eyes on Nala, he was captivated by her beauty and grace, seeing beyond the color of her skin to the strength and resilience that lay within. Prince Jafari was unlike any man Nala had ever met before. He treated her with kindness and respect, seeing her not as a slave, but as a woman deserving of love and dignity. As Nala and Prince Jafari spent more time together, their bond grew stronger with each passing day. They shared their hopes and dreams for the future,
finding solace in each other's company amidst the chaos and uncertainty of plantation life. And though their love seemed like an impossible dream, Nala refused to give up hope, believing that love could conquer even the greatest of obstacles. As Nala and Prince Jafari's love blossomed, they found themselves drawn to each other in ways they could never have imagined. Theirs was a love that transcended the boundaries of race and class, defying the expectations of society and proving that true love knows no bounds. Despite the obstacles they faced, Nala and Prince Jafari refused to let anything stand in the way of their love. They stole moments of happiness whenever they could, stealing kisses beneath the light of the moon and dreaming of a future where they could be together forever. But their love was not without its challenges. The plantation owners viewed Nala as nothing more than property, and they would stop at nothing to keep her and Prince Jafari apart. But Nala and Prince Jafari refused to be swayed by their cruelty, choosing instead to fight for their love with every fiber of their being. With the blessing of his family, Prince Jafari knelt before Nala and declared his love for her. Nala's heart soared with joy as she accepted his proposal, knowing that their love would conquer all obstacles in its path. Together, they vowed to stand against the injustice of slavery and fight for the freedom of their people.